During World War II, thousands of soldiers found themselves deep in enemy territory, cut off from their units and stripped of their gear. For many, the difference between life and death wasn't firepower or rations. It was direction. Getting lost behind enemy lines could mean walking straight into capture or wasting precious days circling aimlessly. That's when soldiers turned to one of the simplest yet most reliable navigation methods ever devised, a trick so effective that it's still taught in survival schools today. It required no compass, no map, and no fancy tools, just a sharp mind and an understanding of the natural world. Let's break down the forgotten World War II compass trick that still works anywhere on Earth, explore how it saved soldiers during the war, and learn how you can apply it right now, whether you're out camping, hiking, or surviving an urban blackout. When soldiers lost their compasses, they turned to the Earth itself. During the chaos of World War II, it wasn't uncommon for troops to lose their navigation gear. Bombings, ambushes and retreats left many soldiers without compasses or maps. Yet direction was everything. That's when field instructors started teaching troops how to find north using the same principles mariners and explorers had relied on for centuries: the magnetic alignment of metal, the position of the sun, and the behavior of the natural environment. The method most widely used was known simply as the needle trick. It required nothing more than a metal pin or needle, a piece of cloth, and a small body of still water. Soldiers were trained to rub a needle against their uniform or hair to magnetize it, then place it on the surface of water using the cloth or a leaf as a raft. Within seconds, the needle would rotate and align itself along the Earth's magnetic field, pointing north and south. It wasn't perfect, but it was often accurate enough to guide a lost soldier towards safety or a known landmark. What's remarkable is that this simple act, magnetizing metal by friction and using water as a stabilizing surface, worked in almost every climate. Whether it was a flooded trench in France or, a jungle puddle in the Pacific, soldiers could improvise this compass with nearly anything metal: a sewing pin, a razor blade, or even a stripped piece of wire. This isn't magic, it's science rooted in magnetism. When you rub a piece of ferromagnetic metal like steel or iron against a surface in one direction, the friction aligns the magnetic domains inside the metal, turning it into a temporary magnet. Once that's done, suspending it on water allows it to float freely and rotate under the influence of Earth's magnetic field. The heavier end of the magnetized metal naturally aligns toward magnetic north. In WWII field manuals, soldiers were taught to use small bodies of water, canteen lids, helmets, or even puddles. A thin thread of silk or a sliver of plant fibre could serve as a makeshift raft if the water was moving. This simple trick became a reliable fallback when maps were lost or radio signals were jammed. It didn't rely on batteries or equipment, just understanding. Today, this method still holds up. In fact, you can test it yourself. Take a sewing needle, rub it vigorously on your jeans or, against your hair for about a minute, then lay it on a small leaf and place it gently on a bowl of still water. Within moments it will pivot, and one end will point toward north. Compare it to a real compass, and you'll be surprised by the accuracy. It's the same principle modern compasses are built upon, only stripped to its most essential form. When the power's out, when your GPS dies, or when you're deep in unfamiliar terrain, this technique doesn't fail because it doesn't depend on technology. It depends on physics. In WWII, soldiers didn't just rely on one trick. They read the land like a living map. The needle compass was one of many tricks soldiers learned, but it came with an important lesson. Never depend solely on gear. Troops were taught to cross-check their bearings using natural indicators. The position of the sun was the first clue. In the northern hemisphere, the sun rises roughly in the east and sets in the west. Around midday, its position slightly favours the south. Soldiers could track shadows to confirm direction. Shortest at noon when facing north, longer in the morning and evening when facing east or west. They also learned environmental cues. Moss tends to grow more heavily on the shaded northern sides of trees in temperate regions. Snow, melts faster on southern slopes. Even anthills, which prefer sunlit sides, can hint at east and west orientations. These weren't guaranteed methods, but when combined with the needle compass, they formed a survival system based entirely on observation and deduction. For a soldier deep in the Ardennes or navigating Pacific jungles, this knowledge wasn't theoretical. It was a matter of survival. It's what turned lost men into self-reliant navigators who could make their way back to safety without ever seeing a compass again. If you want to master this skill, you don't need a battlefield, just curiosity and a few minutes of practice. Grab a bowl of water, a sewing needle, and a small piece of thin paper or a leaf. Rub the needle about 50 times in one direction on a synthetic fabric or your hair. Carefully place it on the paper, then float the paper on the water's surface. After a few moments, the needle will align along a north-south axis. From there, you can use the sun or landmarks to determine which end points north. Once identified, that alignment will stay steady unless disturbed. You can use this to orient yourself while hiking, navigating a blackout city, or even planning direction in an unfamiliar area. For field use, a magnetized razor blade can serve the same purpose, and the back of a wristwatch can provide a stable flat base. Once you learn the feel of it, it becomes second nature, a fallback method that doesn't rely on anything but basic understanding. What makes this method so timeless isn't just its utility, it's the mindset behind it. We soldiers didn't have the luxury of technology. They had to trust their training and ingenuity. Learning this trick wasn't about making fire or finding north. It was about developing confidence in your own ability to adapt. It reminded soldiers that survival isn't about the tools you carry, but the knowledge you hold. In our modern world, where navigation is outsourced to devices, mastering this old method reconnects us with that same resilience. It's not just a history lesson, it's a test of skill, patience, and understanding. Whether you're a prepper, a historian, or an outdoorsman. This trick belongs in your toolkit because it embodies one of the oldest truths of survival. The simplest tools are often the most dependable. If this piece gave you a deeper appreciation for the ingenuity of WWII's survival skills, make sure to subscribe to Backyard Wisdom for more forgotten techniques that still hold value today. Share this with someone who loves real, proven history, the kind that doesn't just teach us about the past, but keeps us ready for the future.